Alrighty, so this is Diesel with People News. Okay, just trying to set my little thing up here. Um, Sometimes when you do research, you got to go back to the basics. Okay, and I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. Okay, so anything I say or do on here or do to the video is educational purposes only. Okay, it's for you to do your own research. Remember, never look straight forward. Always look around you. Be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Okay. Um, this is Eddie Craig, which I've heard of and ignored back when I first started because of my lack of knowledge. But as time grown and me researching, uh, some of the things I thought was ridiculous at the time come to be true to me. All right, and I'm putting it right here to kind of bring out the basic parts, but more of anything else, understand the one thing: you have a right to due process from the beginning to end. Okay, that's just plain out and simple. Now, is government in a lot of ways crooked? Yes. Okay, court system is crooked? Yes. All right. We all been misled to believe things that's not true to take advantage of us. All right. So going back to the basic point of views, since most of us are starting the process actually learning due to the C word that happened the past couple of years and had a little time on our hands and going, what the heck just happened? Let's proceed forward. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Here in Texas, there is tons of case law on the books. For instance, when a police officer arrests you on a traffic infraction here in Texas, by law, it is mandatory that he take you immediately before a magistrate. They are not allowed to take you to a jail cell here for a traffic stop, but they do it all the time. Wow. But the case law here in Texas throughout our history has always shown that the moment the officer does that, he is guilty of false imprisonment and official misconduct because the law clearly instructed him to take the individual before a magistrate who could neutrally determine whether or not incarceration was something that was lawful. The officer has no power to make that determination, not in any state. They're the accuser. How does it look when both the accuser can also determine whether or not you should go to jail? That's exactly why they're required to take you before a magistrate who can examine the facts independently and make a determination legally as to whether or not a commitment order is required to put you in jail or they have to release you on a PR bond or whatever. It's not.
No, pause right there, right? And my previous videos, right? Probable cause. They're making a legal determination. The true probable cause is when they seen it in progress. Other than that, they must take you to the magistrate to be able for that magistrate to make a legal determination. The officer is not qualified to make a legal determination. He's his executive branch. Okay, and uh, and that's basically what it's saying is the probable cause section.
Officer's choice. So
that's Texas law, but
it's actually true in most states. In most states, that's the law. But the problem is people don't know it, and people don't make the effort to go after the cop for doing it. They'd rather just put it behind them and go on. That's why they continue to get away with this stuff and why they continue to do it, because they're not being made to pay for the consequences of their actions.
I think, at least from my perspective, and probably a lot of people would agree, that they're just looking for ease of continuing on about their daily life. But you have to remember, you are sacrificing rights. And I think, that's something what you just talked about there with being able to sue police officers and them having to take you before a magistrate first. I think that changes the game because that gives you some incentive that your rights have been violated and you're able to get something in return, possibly. So, I mean, I think you kind of have to weigh your options when you do get pulled over.
Yeah, it really just depends on how far you're willing to go and the time you're willing to take to learn to do this. The thing that we teach people the most is how to do things for themselves without using an attorney. And there are many reasons for that. Attorneys, by their very nature, are dishonest individuals. They're there for mainly, at least when it comes to criminal law, your defense attorney's goal is one thing and one thing only: to ensure that you do not have appealable error. Now,
Just think about that, y'all. So you go to jail and all that kind of stuff, and you want the state to furnish you an attorney. All right? Well, the first thing they do is going to make you do some type of plea, right? Well, the plea, in its nature, is bypassing the due process, okay? You are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, right? Beyond reasonable doubt. But once you go in there, not guilty, no contest, you made a claim. You made it reversed, right? Now the plaintiff is no longer the claimant. You made a claim, you're guilty, no contest, or not guilty, but you still made a claim. And challenging that is going to be way harder than it is. Now, you've seen these videos with attorneys, right? Well, you can't do that. You must do this. You must do that, right? Well, what they are doing is going by their nature. Okay? Not by due process. If you're in that jail cell and you pay an attorney, that's profit. The longer it takes, the more money it's going to cost you. If it's a court appointed attorney, right, he's only paid X amount of money. More it takes for you, the less he makes. And no, on top of that is conflict of interest.
Understand that. It is not to defend you. It is not to get you off of the charges. It is to ensure that once you've been convicted, you don't have any appealable error to go forward with.
Can you explain what that means exactly, appeal?
Right there. They're setting you up. Your court appointed attorney is setting you up so that way you cannot appeal. Just wrap your heads around that, people. They're 100% against you. They want you to go through this process in a hurry so he can get back to making $200 and $300 an hour and not this $200 bill. Zip him through here because I got the things I need to do. In fact, if you'll listen to Steve Leto's Law, the attorneys talk about that, and judges and all that kind of stuff. They lose out on money. It's hard to get them to do these things.
Appealable error is something that you can take to an appellate court to say, hey, my conviction should be overturned because, and then you've got legal facts that justify the overturning of the case against you, or at least changing the punishment or something that would alter the way the outcome of the case was. Here we're talking about an attorney whose sole job is to ensure that you have no way to make that claim. In other words, he's actually working for the other side. And the way he does this most of the time is he starts by waiving your most fundamental rights right out of the gate. For instance, are you aware that when you go into a court and you enter a plea in a case like this, especially in a case where it's considered criminal like it is here, when you go in and enter a plea, you have waived no less than 3 very important fundamental due process rights. You have waived the right to notice. You have waived the right to challenge in personam jurisdiction, which is jurisdiction over your person. And you have waived the right to challenge the form and substance of the charging instrument and the indictment or information.
Sit and think about that, people. Why do you think they push it so hard for you to make these claims? And then you get these other videos that's calling these people challenging all this, right? Sovereign citizens. Is it to mislead you? To make you misbelieve what is true? Right? You hear it over and over. When people do this on their own, they're sovereign citizens. And attorneys make videos of this, right? And calling people sovereign citizens. They're trying to pull you away from doing the matter on your own so you can invest in their profession.
Complaint, the indictment or information. So just by entering that plea, which they attempt to coerce you to do through threats of issuing a warrant if you don't do it and things of that nature, they're trying to get you to waive those rights so that you don't have appealable error on their failure to follow procedure.
So what are you supposed to do in that circumstance?
Well, you challenge the court. First off, if they haven't filed the proper documentation, the court lacks jurisdiction to be doing anything, including taking and entering a plea on the record. But they do it all the time because people don't know to challenge them on it.
Right? Affidavit under penalty of perjury.
That's really fascinating.
A lot of this system gets away by fraudulent means. They do what they do by not fully disclosing the consequences of your action.
Why would lawyers be working, I guess, essentially, as you said, for the other side, to get you to enter this plea to waive those rights? What's the benefit to the lawyer there?
More money. It's a very simple process. Most criminal defense attorneys that are doing public defender work get paid a flat fee for what they do. Let's say it's $350. If he has to spend 20 hours on your case and his normal billing rate is $250 an hour, he's losing money by fighting for you, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay? So if all he can do is walk into that court and say, we plead guilty or we plead not guilty, please set it for a jury trial and walk out again, he spent 2 whole minutes on your case and he's still getting $350. So right now he's 58 minutes and another $100 ahead by that type of defense work. The more time and effort he has to put into your case, the less he profits of that $350.
Now, are there lawyers out there that you're aware of that do this correctly, that advise you not to enter the plea, that advise you not to waive your rights?
No, I have never seen an attorney tell their client, we can't enter a plea. They haven't given us a charging instrument. They haven't given us an indictment or an information or even a complaint. We're not going to enter a plea. They'll go in and plea regardless if you've got legal counsel. And they immediately waive your rights by doing that. I have never, in my entire time of doing this, ever seen someone's defense attorney challenge the form and substance of a complaint, challenge the jurisdiction of the court to prosecute the case. Nothing.
Wow, this is a great conversation. I think this is great content for our listeners. This is stuff that I wasn't aware of. I'm sure our listeners are not aware also.
I'm going to go ahead and stop it there because I think, we need to kind of keep it short and process the information that's been given, right? And am I say all attorneys are crooked? Not saying that, but I am saying it's overwhelming by evidence that they're not operating on people's behalf, or judges, in fact. You challenge jurisdiction of the courts, but they keep saying they have jurisdiction. Well, number one, that's the plaintiff that has a jurisdiction issue. It's not the courts, right? They get jurisdiction from the plaintiff. And they say, nope, there's enough evidence here that the courts have jurisdiction, so we'll go ahead and proceed forward. But which jurisdiction? These are We the People News. Until next time. Bye, y'all.